What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. Today, we're going to talk about the Cup Series, and if we will get more than 16 winners before the end of the 2023 Cup Series season. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. So far in the 2023 NASCAR Cup Series season, 11 drivers scored at least one victory in the 2023 season. William Byron scored 3 wins so far in 2023, those coming in Las Vegas, Phoenix, and Darlington. Kyle Busch also scored 3 wins so far in the 2023 season, those coming at Auto Club Talladega, and then, of course, a couple weeks ago at Gateway. Kyle Larson, he's won 2 races so far in the 2023 season, those coming at Martinsville and Richmond. Mark Truex Jr., he scored 2 wins so far in the 2023 season, those coming at Dover and Sonoma. And then the rest of the drivers scored only 1 win. Joe Logano won at Atlanta. Ryan Blaney won the Coca-Cola 600. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. won the Daytona 500. Ross Chastain won at Nashville. Todd Reddick, he won at COTA. Christopher won at Bristol Dirt. And Denny Hamlin scored the win at Kansas Speedway. So we've had a lot of guys already win so far in the 2023 season. But I think that there is a potential chance and a potential possibility of there being more than 16 winners by the end of 2023. This year, though, I will say there's more guys who really set themselves up as championship threats. When you go back to last year in 2021, you had a lot more guys who were really, really closer and could win a lot more frequently. I feel like this year, there are more guys that have a shot of winning, but they're not being able to capitalize. Let's talk about all the drivers who could potentially get a win before the end of the 2023 season. The first guy I want to talk about is Brad Keselowski. Brad Keselowski in 2022, he really struggled. Obviously moved away from Team Penske and became a co-owner / driver of RFK Racing. If you compare 2022 to 2023, Brad Keselowski set the world on fire compared to speed, and he's had a couple shots and opportunities to win so far in 2023. I go back to Daytona 500 where he probably had the fastest car, and then I go back to Atlanta where he was really strong there as well. But there's other tracks this year, especially where Brad Keselowski has been very consistent and very, very fast, and currently sits above the cutoff line currently at the moment. I can see Brad Keselowski getting a win or two for the end of the season. I think Atlanta's one track you got to look at. You got to look at Talladega, but I could see him winning at a track like Richmond or a track similar to that like Kansas before the end of the season. The next driver I think could win before the end of the 2023 season is Ty Gibbs. Yes, this one might be someone that's a little bit surprising. I know Ty Gibbs hasn't had the complete grasp and speed, but Ty Gibbs at times has showed some really great pace and really good speed in the 2023 season. I think he's someone who's going to surprise a lot of people for the end of the year, and I think he's got a shot to maybe get a win. The next driver I want to talk about is Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace has been very impressive so far in the 2023 seasons, has some really awesome pace and speed this year. While Bubba's not scored a victory up to this point, he's come close to winning a few times, had a top 5 at Kansas, had a top 5 in the Coke 600, nearly won the All-Star race, finishing second to Kyle Larson there. And it just seems like Bubba Wallace this year compared to the last 2 years at 23XI Racing, it seems like Bubba Wallace is really, really a much more bigger contender currently at the moment. I'm looking at the mile and a half tracks like Las Vegas and Kansas as potential possibilities, but I would not be surprised if Bubba also wins in Michigan or Richmond. Michigan was really good for Bubba Wallace last year, and maybe surprisingly wins the Chicago Street Course race this weekend. But I think his best shot is going to come at the intermediate tracks. Next, let's talk about AJ Allmendinger. Now, AJ Allmendinger, I thought was going to be more competitive and might have already had a win by now up to this point. I'm actually genuinely surprised that he's not scored a victory so far in the 2023 season. But AJ's been really starting to put stuff together, and the race have been put together to the point now where he's in position to potentially make it in on points. But you got to look at the road course races. Now, with something that's kind of shocked me so far is AJ has not led a lap on a road course this year. But I think there's a chance it could change this weekend because he's going to Chicago. He's had some street course experience, which I think he has more than most of the drivers in the field. I think AJ is absolutely a big threat and a potential contender to get a victory for the end of the 2023 season. Next, let's talk about Chris Buescher. Chris Buescher, very similar to Brad Keselowski, has been very impressive so far in 2023. Been pretty good on the road courses this year. Was decent at COTA, didn't have a great finish at COTA, and he did have a really solid run overall at Sonoma Raceway. And we're going to Chicago Street Course. RFK's showing some good speed on the road courses this year. Chris Buescher, I look at Bristol as well. He won that race at Bristol, one of the fastest cars there, got a second career Cup victory last year there. I could see him getting his second win in a row at that track. And I think we may see Chris Buescher get a win or two for the end of the year. RFK looks much more composed. They look a lot better, and they do look a lot better so far in 2023. Next, let's go ahead and talk about Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick has the highest number of points of guys that have not won so far in 2023. When you look at Stewart-Haas Racing in general, Kevin Harvick has been very, very good so far in the 2023 season. Now, where could I see Kevin Harvick winning? I can see winning the championship race at Phoenix. Obviously, Kevin Harvick has to make the championship race first, but I think Kevin Harvick, you look at a track like Michigan and you look at a track like Richmond. He's been pretty solid so far this year, and compared to how bad his teammates have been so far in 2023, you got to be impressed with Kevin Harvick. I think Kevin, though, has a very good chance and a very good shot to win a race before the end of the regular season. I might be able to make it out on points, but I think he would love to get a win, and I think it'd be really close because he's having the best retirement season. I think he wants to close it out, though, by potentially getting a win in his final year. I think he's got a shot to do it. Next, let's go ahead and talk about Daniel Suarez. Daniel Suarez has definitely been up and down in 2023. Compared to where he was in 2022, he's extremely consistent. He was having great finishes. It's been much opposite this year compared to last year. But I will say Daniel Suarez has shown a little more pace and a little bit more speed. If they could work on the pace and speed and have speed like they had at Coda and some of the road courses like they had at the beginning of the year, I think Daniel Suarez could win a road course race. I'm looking at Watkins Glen as a potential possibility. I'm looking at the Chicago Street Course race, especially with Justin Marks, who is the co-owner of Trackhouse, getting that experience in the Xfinity race. I can see him win the Chicago Street Course race. I think he's going to be a threat and a contender there. I think Daniel Suarez could win a race before the end of the 2023 season. Next, let's talk about Chase Elliott. Now, Chase Elliott, a lot of people would say, obviously, will get a win before the end of the year, and I think he actually will win before the end of the season. I feel like the last 2 weeks for Chase Elliott have been improving. He's had 2 straight top 4 finishes in a row. I feel like Chase Elliott has the speed. He needs a little bit more speed to contend up front more, but he made up a lot of points on the cutoff line. I think Chase Elliott, despite all the controversy, all stuff that's happened to him this year, I think Chase Elliott could definitely win before the end of this season. Next, let's talk about Alex Bowman. Alex Bowman, been a little bit inconsistent this year, missed some races due to his injury, but Bowman had great speed at the beginning of the year. I could see him winning before the end. I think he's got a shot to potentially win before the end of the 2023 regular season and might be able to make it into the playoffs as well. Next, let's talk about Michael McDowell. McDowell, great pace, great speed this year so far in 2023. They didn't have a good race in Nashville, but McDowell, they've had speed on road courses. One of the few guys that really could keep up with Martin Truex Jr. at Sonoma as well on the tires. I think he's going to be a big factor to win maybe the street course race this weekend. I think he's got a shot to potentially get it done. So those are the main factors and contenders. So where do I see potentially be getting our first-time winners? Well, we're going to Chicago Street Course race first. That one is going to be really, really interesting. I think if there's anyone that get a first win, it could be Austin Cindric, it could be AJ Allmendinger, it could be Daniel Suarez. I think that one's going to be a wild card, and maybe even Shane Van Gisbergen, who's making his Cup Series debut with Trackhouse. I think he could be a factor to get it done in that car. The next race I can see a first-time winner is Atlanta. Atlanta's super speedway track, and there's a lot of drivers who've not won so far in 2023. Brad Keselowski, like I've mentioned. Chris Buescher, like I've mentioned. Austin Dillon's been decent on super speedway tracks the last couple years. I do believe that you're going to see potentially a first-time winner. I mean, even maybe Ty Gibbs, who's been solid, could get a win there. I think Ty Gibbs got the pace to potentially get it done as a rookie. Next, let's talk about New Hampshire. I'm not expecting a first-time winner here unless we do see a driver like, I don't know, maybe like Ryan Preece come into play. He's been pretty good in New Hampshire in the modifieds and also an Xfinity Series race here. Maybe he gets it done at New Hampshire, but I'm looking at Chris Bell to win that one, so probably not going to get a first-time winner there. Any road course, which I think is a few weeks after, that one's going to be very, very chaotic. I think you'll have to look at other guys outside there like AJ Allmendinger. If he doesn't win the Chicago Street Course race, you do have to look at AJ Allmendinger potentially winning there. But I think that will we see 16 or more winners for the end of the year? Yeah, I think there's absolutely a really, really good chance. Like I mentioned, Bubba Wallace, I think, can win. Chase Elliott, I think, is going to get a win for the end of the year. I think Daniel Suarez has a shot at winning this year. AJ Allmendinger, I think, is going to win race for the end of the year. I think there's going to be a lot of guys who are going to be contenders and threats, and I do believe by the end of the 2023 season, we're going to have more than 16 winners at the conclusion of this season. So, that is going to today's special video. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Links description below that, and comment below your thoughts below on today's video. Do you think we get more than 16 winners by the end of the 2023 season? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm not sure if I'm going to have another video up on the channel or not. I'm not entirely sure at this point. If there's any major news that breaks later today, we might have a video up on the channel. If not, the next time you'll see me will be on Wednesday. We'll do a NASCAR news video, and we might have a video previewing the Chicago Street Course on Wednesday, but no guarantees. Thursday is going to be race pick for the Cup race at Chicago Street Course. Friday's going to be a NASCAR news video. And then Saturday, I have the Xfinity Series race review from the Chicago Street Course. And then Sunday, we'll have the Cup review from the Chicago Street Course. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.